are again. In case your memory's just as good as mine. We're here for job preparedness. It's the second class. There's a sign-in sheet. Who hasn't signed in yet?
Right here?
I haven't signed.
This side hasn't. Good.
Thank you.
That taken care of. Appreciate it. And I know they like their sign-in sheets here.
Yes.
And then I've got notes here, handouts with fill-in spaces and things for you. Everybody have one of these?
I have one.
Good.
All right.
Good.
See, this has
And then I'm Steve Coleman.
Hi.
Hi, Steve.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Oh, good afternoon, sorry.
And I've held a lot of different jobs. I've been fired twice. I spent the last 20 or 30 years in human resources. So I have experience
Wow.
on all sides of this thing. Yes. Made my share of mistakes, made a few good decisions along the way. So we're talking about job preparedness, and last time we talked about the importance of doing what you can, or what we can. This is really our purpose statement for the class. Doing what you can to be ready to be hired for a job so that you can provide for yourself and be able to give to others. And we won't go through all that line by line, but we talked about it some. We spent a lot of our time last week talking about doing what you can. Let me remind you of a few of those things. We had several key ideas. The first key idea we had was we talked about the well and how the well represents a lot of resources to help you. But behind the well are a whole lot of people that are doing this last line on our purpose statement. They're giving to others. They've given financially to the well, they've given materially, they've given things to the well to help them get going. I don't remember the woman's name. A woman painted the...
Miss Linda.
Yeah, there you go. Painted that there for the benefit
Oh, I
of the
don't
well.
know if she painted that.
A lot of people are spending time praying for the well because they are interested in being able to help others. And that is the end goal of any kind of sort of effort to get a job, is that you want to be independent, absolutely. And you also want to be part of an interdependent, in other words, we're all dependent on each other, kind of society where we all can get what we need when we need it, and we can give what other people need so they have it when they need it. All right, so well, and then if you remember, I had this big whiteboard over here, and I said, what are employers looking for? And we came up with a list. It wasn't exactly this list, but we came up with a list of things, and I said, these are under the category things I can change. And then we had another list, which was very short. I put a few more things on it here, but there are things that it's not a matter of, it's not like you have to change your mind and now you can work the cash register that's at Shoppers Food Warehouse, or you know the filing system at the law office down the street. No, these are things you have to learn. You can't decide to do these or decide to do them better. You have to learn how to do them. Learn how to do them better. But these things are all things you can decide to do differently. There are things you can change. And I know we had some homework around that, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But let me just finish a brief review here. So these things are the kinds of things that employers are looking for. So what that means to you is there's a bunch of things you know about that you can change. And these are things that employers want. So they're things that if you display these things, employers will want to hire you. If you display these things, then your employers are going to want to keep you, even if they have to reduce the staff, you'll be somebody that will be employable and will be able to keep a job well. And there was a key idea connected with that: everyone can change. And if you remember, we talked about changing and how hard that is, and how it's really something that God's created us to be able to do. And God additionally is at work in us in order to change us. And we talked about the caterpillar.
Yep.
I remember, I couldn't remember that word.
Chrysalis.
Yes, and becoming a butterfly. And that's the kind of change. It isn't a simple change. It's a down deep, complete transformation. And that's the word the Bible uses for it. And everyone can change. It's a key idea that we have. You can change. So you had homework. Anybody like to share?
Yes, I love to share.
Yes. Let's start up here.
Miss Butter, yes, ma'am.
And we'll go with you second.
Okay.
Yes. Tell us about what your homework, what you picked for your homework, and how that went.
I picked on time, being on time.
Good. All right. And remember, the homework was you take that quality, that characteristic, and you say, I'm going to go after that this week like it's my job. I'm going to pick a thing that I'm responsible for, that, and I'm going to pretend like that's my job. And I'm getting paid to be on time. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's being on time. This is what happens when I practice being on time to any employee, that I have loyalty and commitment with this organization, and also demonstrates that I am a independent employee, rain, snow, or sunshine.
Okay, good. Excellent. Boy, you really guys gave some thought to that, and that's excellent.
Well, my son helped me too, because
Yes. Good. Good. And did you practice being on time for some of the things you're supposed to do?
oh yeah,
Good.
I used to work
Yeah.
downtown, the housekeeping holiday Inn.
Good, good. Excellent.
Yes, being kind to wonderful, being kind is a wonderful thing, but sometimes you do too much and that is not so good for your job.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. And did you practice?
Yeah, every day.
You did?
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
That's why my head hurt.
You know what? That's exactly right. Change is hard work. It's harder than you think, oh yeah, okay, I'll just be kind. That's no problem.
Right.
Oh, end of the day, you got a
Yes.
headache
Headache.
because you're,
Yes.
you're working at it.
Working, yes.
I noticed you gotta, concentrate on getting enough sleep, so getting up on
Yeah,
time
yeah.
to prepare yourself.
That's right. You need all kinds. You need good sleep. You need good nutrition. You need good rest. In addition to hard work, there's a lot of things that you need in order to do some of these things.
Right.
But just the fact of you have one habit and you're saying, now I want to learn to have this habit instead. That's hard.
Yes, it
because
is.
part of the reason we tend to develop things as habits is so we don't have to think every minute of every day. So there's some things you do by habit when you wake up in the morning to get dressed. If you had to think, okay, well now what should I do next?
Right.
And if your body didn't sort of have this mechanism to build habits, it would take you 3 hours to get up and get dressed in the morning.
Yes.
It may take some of us 3 hours
Right.
anyway, as
I
it
was
is.
getting ready to
But,
say, that's about right.
but
I've got 2 little people at home, you know.
yeah, but that's because you said I want to focus on this habit. You had to keep thinking every day about that. So yeah, it wears you out.
Yes.
Great observation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I put avoid drama.
Yeah,
I did good all week until, and then I got fired yesterday.
Oh,
I got fired yesterday.
oh no.
I was doing good, and it just, I mean, it wasn't my drama.
Yeah.
I was just called to a situation
Yeah.
that was drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was my best friend and her fiance and his kids involved.
Yeah.
So I pretty much got fired yesterday.
Oh, so bad.
I tried.
And you know what? That's another terrific point. When you're involved in this work of change, You're gonna leap into it, and you're gonna do good and do good and do good, but there's gonna be a time where I didn't avoid that drama. Oh, I wasn't. You're gonna have that failure, that time where
Yes.
I just didn't get that right. And you know what? That's what happens with children when they go to learn how to walk. They get up, take a few steps, and then it isn't but a day or two after they
Right.
start that they fall and bump their nose and are
Right.
crying. And what do you tell them? No, get up, you're all
Get
right.
up and
Just
try
keep
it
going.
again.
And that's what you have to do.
Get
You have to
Get on that horse and ride it again.
you can't say, oh, that's a loss. You just get up and try it again. Because, you know, the Bible says God has compassion on us like a parent has compassion on their children. Because he knows how we're made. He remembers that we are just dust, it says. And that's Genesis talks about man was created out of the dust of the ground. So God, using God as an example of a good parent, because we didn't all have good parents, but he's a guy that has compassion because he knows we're just trying. We're trying. We're working at it. So yeah, that's a great point, that you don't always have success after success after success. Yeah.
I just would suggest that each one of us take and celebrate, whether it was an hour, whether
Yes.
it was a day, whether it was the whole week, that we celebrate in some kind of time frame our success, or doing what it was that we said we were going to do or change.
Right.
Well, I was gonna celebrate yesterday. I was gonna eat a steak. And then in the middle of me ready to eat my steak,
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah.
So I reapplied, so
Good.
I'll find out tomorrow.
Okay. All right. And I think you raise a terrific point. The goal is not perfection. Have you ever been perfect at anything in your life?
No.
Have you ever been perfectly bad at everything?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You may think so, but we're never perfect at achieving something or doing something well. That's not the goal. The goal with change is that we want to be the kind of person that shows up on time, the kind of person that speaks kindly and is kindly, the kind of person that doesn't bring drama. Does that mean there'll never be a day when, oops, I'm late. I was almost late today. Came close. And I'd like to never be late. But, you know, the goal is we want to be the kind of person that's like that, more like that than like the person that doesn't come on time or isn't kind or so on. So we're always working toward that. So that's another great point. Thank you. Good. Anybody else want to share about their homework?
I will.
Or shall we move on?
I will.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
I mean, I chose being on time too,
Okay, good. Excellent.
but I just, being on time for my appointment. I got surgery on Friday, and I had to be there by 8 o'clock, so I had to get up to leave out by 7. I got up at 5:30 or whatever, which is early for me.
Yeah.
So, and then, I was on time for the mentee class, because
Good.
sometimes I'd be forgetting that I have the
Yes.
mentee class, and I
Yes.
like to go there even though I have a mentor. I don't have to do it, but
Yeah,
I like to.
right.
And then, I was on time for this class, so, I mean, that's basically the only things
Good.
that are important to me, are
Right.
being here or doing my class.
And you were successful at
Yeah,
working at being on time,
Yeah.
like you were going to a job.
yeah.
Good, excellent, excellent. Thanks. So a big hand to all of you
Thank
who
you.
worked on that homework.
Thank you.
This is just the first week. This is the kind of thing you need to keep going on, and it'll come up again at the end of this lesson. All right, well, let's move on to what we have on our sheet this morning. We talked about things we can change and ways we can change. And what we're we're gonna do is, remember we had the set of things that I can change, then there's a set of things I can learn. We just want to spend a few minutes and talk about the similar statement, you can learn. The reason I have to handle this as a separate thing is because there's somebody out there, I have to say I think, because there's only a handful of us. If there was 30 people in the room, I know for sure, there's somebody out there that's saying, wait a minute, you don't know me. How can you tell me I can learn? Because you don't know me, you don't know my background. Maybe I'm the person that can't learn. But I can say for sure that you can learn. I mean, it says right here on that handout, everyone can learn.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that for sure because of several things. First of all, science has proven that everyone can do more than they think.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone can. It's just in our nature as humans. Science has found out that if people that do very strenuous things, activities or sports, and they're just like, I can do no more, I'm done. That really, they're only about 40 to 50% done. They can actually do about 50% more than what they've done. And then secondly is, how many people in this room have ever had somebody say something negative or bad about saying, you can't do that, no, you can't get anything right? Exactly. Okay, so does that, when you hear that, did that make you try harder? Did that make you try less?
It made me try harder.
Harder? Good.
Because you want to show, I'm sorry, you want to show that.
You want to show them, right?
Guess what? I'm going to do this.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to walk or do exercise.
Right.
That's why I'm hearing that well.
And that happens sometimes. That happens sometimes. Some of the other times when people have said that, we go, oh, we just sort of feel,
Yeah.
Like a couch potato?
we feel, oh,
Like
can't
nothing.
do that.
Already
Like you a
defeated.
piece of
Already defeated, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, if you went through your whole life and every word that was ever spoken to you was encouraging you to do more,
Right.
then maybe I would say,
I could follow him
maybe
like
you
that.
already learned a lot. But for those of us that hear that word, it sort of withers us, makes us small, makes us feel defeated, we end up doing less than we can.
Yeah.
And since we hear those kind of comments constantly
Oh.
out there, I've got to say, we all have sort of shrunk back and not done everything we could have in certain areas. So you can learn. You can learn. That's why a place like church or a place like the Well, it's a safe place to fail.
Yes.
If you fail, nobody's going to kick you and yell at you,
Right.
say, oh yeah, we knew you couldn't do it. They'll encourage you when you're here.
Encourage you and they'll pray for you.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And any home that you're in or you have responsibility for, I hope you make that household a safe place for people to fail. Because it's not safe to fail out on the street
No.
or at the job or in a school or anywhere where people get together. It's not always a place that's good for us.
No.
It
I
helps
have,
encourage
I have
us. Yes.
a comment. I mean, to me, for younger kids that have problems,
Yes.
you know, in school, I think a school should be also a place where a child should
Safe.
feel safe. You know, because
Yeah.
that's why the child goes to school, to learn.
Right.
Not for somebody to sit there and say, oh, well, you dumb or you
Right.
shit. And that's what they're
Right.
going through, and that's what
Yes,
makes
sir.
a lot of kids drop out of school.
Bullying. Yep. For the bullying.
Well, you know, I went to elementary school, I went to middle school, I went to high school, and you know what? School, it should be, but it isn't a safe
Right.
place.
No.
It's
It's
not.
not.
No.
It's not.
Changed
It's a really
lot.
tough place.
Yeah.
I know that didn't have nothing to do with it, but
Okay,
what we talking about.
well, let me tell you, let me give you two illustrations of people that did much more than they could have. Can you imagine being blind? That would be hard to live if you're
I've
blind.
lived that.
You've lived that. How about deaf? That's kind of that gives you some challenges. What if you were both blind and deaf? You can practice that by closing your eyes and putting your hands over your ears.
Yes, right.
And say, I can hear myself breathing, but
Right.
I wouldn't be able to hear that either because I'm
Right.
stone deaf.
Yeah.
And if you just do that,
Oh, yeah.
you know, you're just, the
Nothing.
world disappears. There's
Yes.
just blackness, and here you sit.
Yes.
Unless somebody takes you somewhere, what are you going to do?
You gonna sit there?
Yeah.
That's right, you'll sit there.
Or is she gonna get up and fall?
Yes.
My life was
Fall.
like
It feels that way. Well, this was a woman, Helen Keller,
I'm blind, yep.
I remember
who
her.
was
Oh, I
born.
know that name.
Helen Keller.
Yes. She was born both blind and deaf from
She wrote
an
a book, didn't
infant.
she?
So she couldn't know the world or figure it out. Never had a conception of colors. Never had a conception of, yes, ma'am. Oh yeah, sure. I'm sorry. I got wrapped up. I didn't see you slip in.
What did she write?
Yeah, and we're just at the top of this paper now.
She wrote a big
We're right here on
fight your phone with you.
Helen Keller, we're at the first blank in your handout. Helen Keller was deaf and blind.
Right.
Yes, deaf and blind.
So what happened? She lived back in the 1800s.
Yeah, 1800, yeah.
She lived
That's a
from
famous
1880
novel.
to 1968. So 1880, she was 20 years old before it turned 1900. And back in those days, they didn't do much with people that had
No, 'cause they didn't-
disabilities.
They put 'em in institutions.
What they put in asylums.
Institutions, yeah.
Yeah.
But she ended up getting a marvelous, well, I'll call her a mentor, but a marvelous tutor that helped her understand the world. Helen Keller went on to write books,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and she became a speaker.
Yeah.
And she traveled outside, all around the United States, but outside to the world. And
She had help, right?
she finished college. She wrote many books and spoke on women's rights and
That's
about women's vote, because
Yeah.
that was an issue then, both in the United States and overseas.
Yeah.
Now, I never planned to be that famous or give speeches in places like that. But here's a woman born deaf and blind and got there. What would,
She's an amazing woman.
right?
That's amazing.
How about
Albert Einstein.
how about autism? You
Oh.
familiar
My
with people that
son
have
has it.
autism?
Yeah.
That's tough.
My
Now,
son's got it.
people can be mildly autistic or profoundly autistic. How about dyslexia?
Yeah.
Boy, the chances of somebody learning well that has both dyslexia and autism are small. But this gentleman had them both.
Dyslexia is,
Albert Einstein.
he sings stuff backwards, right?
Yeah,
Dyslexia.
it's almost impossible for him to learn how to read.
But he was the
because-
smartest man in the world,
Yes, he
wasn't he?
was.
because the words get, the letters get twisted around. So he was doing poorly in school. But what he did was, he found that he really loved math.
Yes, he
And
did.
so as a
Love
student, he
it.
just sort of focused on that.
Oh,
He said,
that
man,
man
that's
was
what
a
I'm putting my
genius."
energy in. He loved math, he loved science,
A
he
lot of
ended up,
people with
And that was a part of his autism.
Yeah.
pardon me, one at a time, yes?
I'm sorry. That was part of his autism, the numbers. Cause see, autistic people, they focus on one thing and they're excellent at it.
Yeah, that's how my son is. He's got Asperger's and he's just
Right.
exceptional
Right,
in some ways, but.
right. So he ended up changing people's minds about how the universe works and opened the door to nuclear science. So
Yeah.
here's a guy, again, as an elementary school student, you'd say, he can probably get something done here in his life.
Right.
But he ended up really making a mark.
Yes.
A third example I would give is me. In the last 31 years, I've held 11 different positions, 11 different jobs.
Wow.
Wow.
A lot of them in the same field, but just different jobs. And I can tell you, every new position, I was sure that I was never going to do it well. I'd never learn it. And what really unnerved me was that there are people around me, and everyone seemed confident in the job, and I was sort of barely holding it together, particularly when I first started these jobs. I had some real anxiety, I can tell you. And you know what that is? That's the mind getting in your way. Our mind is a tough enemy, and that's why I spent so much time last week on talking about you can change. And you can change this thing up here, and you can behave differently.
Believe it or
I
not.
did get fired twice, but that's not because I couldn't learn the job. It was other reasons, but because I mentioned that earlier. But I'm just saying, every one of those 11 jobs, including, what was the most recent one? Was 2007.
Whoa.
Was a job I'm in now still. But you know, it's I had some real anxiety about those things, and you know why? It's because I thought I wasn't going to be able to learn what I needed to be successful at the job. But I had to get past that, keep working at it, and I learned it, and it worked.
Very good.
So that's just what I'm telling you is that's the normal human experience, to have anxiety about, oh, I don't know if I can do that. But you can learn. You can learn. We have examples of people who can do it. We know the science says it. You can learn. God's created humans with the power to learn. You know, He created us as beings with that ability to think, to reason, to make decisions, to deliberately do things. He's given us all those tools, and that makes us as human beings able to learn. And certainly then, if you believe in the Lord and have a relationship with Him, He's given you a new transformed life like we talked about last week. So He's at work changing us. And He says He does that. We're transformed by the renewing of our mind. Renewing just means making it new.
Yeah.
Well, what's learning? It's learning new things.
Yes.
And so that's part of that process, natural human process that God uses to transform our lives.
Yes.
We still have to learn, change what we do, but God's at work making that change happen. All right, so here are these good folks. Let's take a break from talking about jobs and learning for a minute. And let me talk to you about something completely different. And it's really about body posture and posing. You know what posture is.
Yeah, that's
right?
still
So-
straight.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yep, sit up straight.
Yeah.
My grandmother used to do that.
So, this is, you know,
But
this is not,
slouching.
that's not good, is it?
No, you gotta sit proper. Oh, that's so
Oh, that's
great.
relaxing.
Yeah.
That's relaxing.
Yes, relaxing, yeah.
But this is good posture.
For a job, yeah. You gotta
Confident.
Something
Yeah.
good here, right.
Confident.
Well, scientists have
Your
learned
spine
something
goes
about
straight.
posture. There's a scientist named Amy Cuddy,
Everybody.
and here she is.
Still get
And
hands.
she's a professor at Harvard University.
Like
And
me.
she did some experiments with people in posture because she was trying to study how people get confidence, how they perform well, and those sorts of things. So she had a whole bunch of students come in one at a time, and she had them practice being in different postures. So she had one set of postures that were weak postures, and another set that were strong. Let me show you an illustration of that. So this set on the top are high power or strong body language postures. So, and you can see what's characteristic about
He's
these.
chilling.
Look,
They can put arms over
the
that
chins
shit.
are up,
Uh-huh.
the shoulders are back.
Right.
They're taking up space.
Yes, it is.
So they're sitting, like the one guy, he's sitting there, his knees are a little bit open, he's got his
I know,
arm
it's like,
here, his
okay,
other
I'm
shoulder's
chilling.
back.
Yep,
He's
yep.
taking up space.
Well, and
I
I think
own this
also
space.
too, yeah,
Yes.
commanding.
Commanding, a little bit, right, exactly, a little bit.
Cocky.
Yeah, here's a good one.
Owning it.
Standing here, but it's not standing here like this.
No,
It's standing
no.
here, there's
Put
the
the
shoulders
posture
are back,
back.
chins up, and there you go.
Superwoman.
Super.
Good. And even this one, which is more relaxing, But look at what that person's doing. They're leaned back.
Like this.
What is she doing? Yeah,
Leaning back.
like this. So take a lot of
Confident.
space.
Right.
Again, shoulders are back,
Right,
the
right.
chin's up.
Right.
She's not, you know.
She's thinking.
Right.
Oh yeah, I know I got this
Now
job.
Now
Don't
look,
even
look
worry
at the
about it.
bottom
Yeah.
set.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the bottom set. So you have somebody here, like this, like this.
It looks scary.
One of
Yeah.
the common things are, in most cases, again, the chin's down.
Lazy.
Yes.
The shoulders are rotated
It'll care.
forward.
Right.
And what are they doing? They're taking up less
Open
space.
Yeah.
Taking
No
up,
eye
instead of,
No.
right.
Yeah.
Instead of like this, they're like this.
That's right.
They're
Or, like you said,
smaller.
skin. Right.
They're making themselves smaller.
Uh-huh.
These people are making themselves bigger.
Bigger. Right.
So that's what she did. What she did, called these students in. So if you were one of the students, she called in. She said, okay, for 2 minutes, I want you to sit like this. Oh, first, we're going to take a blood test.
Right.
Now, we want you for 2 minutes to sit like that. And then they took the blood test again. And you know what? Some of the chemicals, the chemistry in the brain change
Yes.
just by sitting that way. There's a chemical called cortisol.
Cortisol. Okay.
I never heard of it before.
That sounds like a medicine.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Cortisol. It is a medicine.
But it's a hormone that's in all of us.
Cortisol. No, cortisol.
Yeah.
Cortisol.
This is cortisol, and it's a chemical that's in all of us, and it's associated with times that we're under stress. And if we have that for a prolonged time, what it can do for us, it can cause bone loss, it can cause breakdown of the collagen in the skin.
Wow.
Well, if you
So
sit
your
like the
skin-
one on the top?
No, in the bottom.
Oh, in the bottom.
right,
The bottom.
right. That's
Let's take no space, he said.
no, the cortisol. For these people, the cortisol went down.
Down, okay.
For these people, the
It's
cortisol
high.
didn't stay the same, it went up.
Oh.
And what the cortisol does, it's like I said, associated with stress. In other words, it's released when we're stressed. And the collagen in the skin breaks down, so your skin, it's collagen breaks down when people get very old. It's what you see, old-looking skin. But that'll start to happen prematurely with people that are under high stress. And we knew this science, we knew all along stress was bad. There's memory loss, and it also affects how the body processes food. So it really sort of pushes somebody toward a pre-diabetic condition. But that's cortisol. That goes down. They bring another subject in. You know, if they did this for 2 minutes, the cortisol would go down. If they did this for 2 minutes, the cortisol would go up. Interesting.
It is.
And so,
Puts new meaning to the command your space.
yeah, it does, doesn't it? Doesn't it? So a power posture can help you handle stress better. Now, why am I bringing that up in a class like this? Well,
Stress equals.
it makes it, you know, for whether it's right or wrong, people's appearance makes a big difference in applying for a job and even being on the job. You know, just like your attitude makes a big difference, so does your appearance. I'm just mean clothes, although that's a little bit important. But people judge a person. Somebody talked about eye contact.
Right.
There's another thing,
Yeah.
you know.
I actually went on an interview and
Yeah.
the owner of the store,
Yeah.
and when we were sitting like in the waiting room,
Yeah.
he came out
Mm-hmm.
and literally looked at each and every person for maybe 5-10 minutes.
Mhm.
And that was actually part of the interview, but even though nobody
Yeah.
kinda at first knew it.
Right.
Didn't know.
Because he was looking at
At
each
you.
person to see if you looked at him back.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So,
So somebody was doing this versus somebody that was doing this and looking back at him would really
yeah.
make a difference in his mind. Absolutely. Okay, so what her conclusion is, if you take 2 minutes and strike one of these poses, you've put yourself in a position where you can handle stress better. because you've driven down that hormone cortisol. You've driven up some things too, some good things. And I use this all the time now, and it's very, very helpful. Doing a class, I know my material, I enjoy giving classes, but there's still a level of stress to it, and a level of preparation, and a level of, is that gonna work?
Anticipation.
Yeah, yeah, is this gonna fit in the hour? Is it gonna be too long, too short? What am I gonna have to do? What happens if this happens?
Oh my
And so,
goodness.
before I talk anytime,
I'm trying to keep my composure. Really.
I'll get there early, which I couldn't today, slide into the bathroom, and take 2 minutes and adopt one of these poses. I usually pick from one of these three, which has a Wonder Woman there. A sort of a racer that's just crossing the finish line. Wonder Woman, which is that
Yes.
that domineering, what did you say?
Commanding.
Commanding.
I got this.
I like this.
Yes.
Yeah, and then just,
Put that on for
Yes.
I wrote on here, I am a woman.
I am a woman.
I am free.
but if you will do that, take one of those postures. You might notice a
Well,
difference.
who doesn't like Wonder Woman?
Right. So let's all stand up if it's comfortable. If not,
She gotta sit down, she gotta put her arms
Sure.
up.
If you want to sit down, you can. But take one of these postures.
Oh, well, wait a minute.
Pick one of these postures. If you're standing up, pick one of these postures. I'll watch the clock. And let's do it for a minute, and then we'll do a second one for another minute. So
If
do
you're
a
sitting down,
posture
do one of the ones on top.
like you're winning the race, like you're celebrating something,
I'm going to
like you're commanding, shoulders back, chin up. And just do that.
I got this.
And she's saying just the posture itself is something that's going to help change brain chemistry somewhat.
Is he gonna wake me up?
Ready? She's ready to run. Look, she's
But it's a long time when you're just waiting.
We got 3 Wonder Women in the house.
Yes.
But let your body feel.
You get like relaxed in it.
Yeah, relax your way into it. That's right.
I can't see me relaxing in
It should
there.
be normal. It's like, this is me. This is normal. All right, that's 1 minute, so you can pick another pose.
Oh, good Lord.
So your arms don't hurt.
like the pose.
So pick another one of those poses. And we've got 45 more seconds. Command your space. And there's interesting chemistry happening in your body just because you're in this pose. That's what the experiment showed.
I'm still sleepy.
All right, we
didn't say anything about melatonin or
carry it to the end. We've got about 20 seconds.
I might be asleep.
It woke me up a little.
Yeah,
It should. It should.
It makes your body feel better.
Yeah,
I
because your
think.
spine is like real crooked.
5 more seconds. Right to the end. Get your 2 minutes in. Okay, that's good. You can sit down.
So you're saying when we're stressed, we just need to do that?
Well, it doesn't eliminate stress. But what it does is it does change those chemicals some. And she says that you're more she calls it in the present. You're more able to think, you're more able to sort of interact with people better. Do you feel different? I don't know.
I felt good.
If you do, yeah.
Good for your
And my body
spine.
felt better.
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can take in more air.
You can take in more air. That's right, because you're not down on your lungs. You've got to
Right.
expand it out.
Expand your body.
Okay. So I would suggest doing this, certainly before you go meet anybody. You know, that you're turning in an application, or when you're going for an interview, or when you've got something like a presentation you want to do. Go do that, and I think it puts you in a position where you're better able to send your energy out in that presentation. So it's just a little tip, it's a trick, use it, no question before you do any interview for a job. Just
Will it help
because
when we go- when we
it
have those
cannot
interviews,
hurt,
Randy?
and it definitely helps according to the
Yes.
science.
It can
Yes?
give you confidence also.
Yes?
Yeah.
Good,
Confidence.
okay. Confidence, right?
Yeah.
You hear this right,
Absolutely.
Nancy,
What?
before we see
Okay, so
God,
Right.
them poses.
that's a little trick to keep in mind.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing is, pick on the top, okay, preparing for a job. All right, so now, let's talk about getting ready. We prepared ourselves we prepared us by working on changing, by working on learning, by working on our chemicals, and we've talked several times in class about getting the right sleep, and all those things contribute to how you're going to be able to present yourself in a job interview and how you're going to be able to work on the job. But let's talk about now we have that, we're working on that. What other resources do we need? And so we're on right at the bottom of our handout. You
We're
need
at
to
the
get
bottom already?
stronger. And I don't mean physically, but I mean get things outside yourself that are going to make you stronger. One of them is get God's help.
Pray. Prayer.
Yep.
Thank Him for what you, and this is a fill-in on your handout. Thank God for what you have. You may not have a job. 18 or 180, I should say, things in your life may be going wrong. But do you have something to thank God about?
Oh yeah.
Every day.
Always
I'm
do.
blessed.
Life.
That's right.
Yes, life.
There you go.
Wake me
So
up.
you should do that. Talk to God. Number one, thank Him for what you do have. We
Yes.
can always list the things that we have problems for,
Right,
list the
yeah.
things we want
I
from
got a whole
God,
book.
but what do we have to be grateful for? Ask what God wants to do in your life. He is involved transforming you. He's given you, if you're a follower of God, He's given you what's called a spiritual gift, or a way in which He wants you particularly, He wants to work through you in the body, in the group of Christians, to encourage others in their spiritual growth. And He's got a plan for what He wants out of your life. He's got a plan for how He wants to use you, how He wants to use your experience with difficulties, how He wants to use your experiences with success, how He wants to use everything that you're going through for Him. He's got a plan. So ask what He wants to do in your life.
Well, for the weakness,
And then to get down to the specifics, ask Him to guide you. It's another fill-in on your sheet. Ask Him to guide you. You can ask for specific guidance.
my weakness is smoking.
The Bible says, if we lack wisdom, we should ask God, because He gives to all generously and does so without finding fault. God never says, you came and asked me for guidance 2 months ago and then again last month, and you haven't done that yet. So I'm not giving you any more guidance until then. He's patient. He's patient. You can always ask Him for wisdom. He wants you on a wise path. He wants you taking that lesson. And then get people to help you. So you've got God and people. Get people to help you. You have a mentor. That's a terrific core of the well, is the mentor-mentee relationship. That's a person that's there explicitly, particularly for your good. They want good stuff to happen for you. They want to help you, help apply God's wisdom to get you right. They're the best sort of mirror you can have to help you and tell you, yeah, you're on the right track. Yeah, this is an area you need to work on, and that sort of thing. So, absolutely. And then friends. Get some real friends, people that are love you, what you're
True
good,
friend.
and will tell you the truth.
My friends is my money.
All right, so, and the key idea is you cannot do it alone. And it's not just,
Lesson to learn.
and it's not just you, nobody can do it alone.
No.
Nobody. That's not just a you thing, that's everybody. Nobody can do it alone.
She's bullying me.
All right, the next thing we want to think about. So you got this thing for change for yourself and all that. You're enlisting God in this work. You've got a group. You've got other people to help you, friends, a mentor. So what you can do to prepare and get ready is then make a plan. Write a plan. So look at who you are and where you want to go. This is, I have to warn you, this is a warning. This is hard work because it's that same kind of thing. You got to think, and and that's why you really can't write a plan well on your own. You need somebody else to help you work through this. Now I've got a chart, blank chart in your handout. Looks something like this.
Oh, this is my phone.
Okay, so the first thing, the top line is my strengths and my weaknesses. This is where you really need help from those people
Yeah.
to help you sort of figure that out. What are my weaknesses? And you can look at that list of things that need to be changed. You can look at, maybe you can, you might want to mention, let me think here. Yeah, but start with strengths. Put down the things you're good at, that you do have some success in, and balance those with weaknesses or things that could be stronger or better. But strengths you also want to take particular note of. They're going to be critical in helping you get a job because it's usually going to play to one of your strengths. Talking to a young guy, and he has a terrific opportunity to join up with a small company, and that has been growing very strongly in the last 3 years and has a lot of future growth. And he said, there's no downside to this job, except I love what I'm doing now, and I don't like about 2/3 of the work that's involved in this one. I won't enjoy doing the work. And as he thought about it more and more, he said, it plays to my weaknesses, not my strengths. So he turned it down. And I think I can't make his, I don't know everything involved in his life, but that decision makes some sense because you're getting paid by an employer to do a job. It needs to be something that you are strong at. Strengths and weaknesses. Then what am I able to do? You can think skills. And when you think skills, think really broadly. What am I able to do? Do I have the physical strength to mop floors? Or some other kinds of, just sort of try to run through your mind that all the kinds of things that get involved with any kind of running of a business. And a good resource might be Mandy or her staff, because this is a business. It's a business that's giving. But there's a store here. They've got to have cleaning services done. They have filing and organizing needs, and all the kinds of things that happen in an office happen here. Yes?
Yeah, just a reminder, if anybody asks Mandy to help, don't forget to do your 2-minute pose. Mandy wasn't in here, she don't know about the pose.
Don't tell her, she'll just wonder where all the power is coming from.
I'm lost right now.
That's
We know, it's okay.
It's okay today.
We still love you.
It's okay. I'll explain it to you.
So,
Are we edifying Mandy right now, or what are we doing?
oh, we're back on the class.
We need to be edifying each other, ladies, whatever that's about, I don't know.
It's all right. So what are you able to do? Are you able to lift things? Do you have that kind of strength? Are you good with numbers? Are you good with people? Is customer service something that might be a strength of yours? What skills can you add? And then, and here's where you put these first two lines together, what possible types of jobs might these skills and these strengths, what kind of jobs might use these things? And again, this is where help from friends and mentor are great, just to help with the thinking on this. And then finally, so you've got a set of jobs out there, and those jobs, they're going to be things, yeah, I can probably do that. Then you need to really think about those jobs and what skills, what things do you need to change, and what things you need to learn for you to have or excel, do very well in those kinds of jobs. So it's just one way of sort of doing a plan, sort of analyzing, to get you to a place where, okay, I really need to keep working on this set of things. And I know the kinds of jobs maybe I should start with in terms of putting out my application in. So for homework, keep filling it in. I see a lot of you have started, but fill this chart in. With the help of friends or a mentor,
Yeah.
fill this chart in. There you go. There you go. Get some guidance. Okay, and then finally, we come back around full circle. Practice doing things every day as if it's your job and you're on the clock. That's something you've got to keep doing, because that's the road to continuing to change and continuing to build good habits in the areas that are going to result in you being somebody that will be an attractive candidate to an employer and an employee who that the employer will like, and you'll be able to do a better job of keeping those jobs that you have and excelling in them and progressing in your career. And as we've talked about already, habit change is hard. So, don't bite off more than you can chew. Tackle one thing at a time. And realize you're going to get tired, and it's going to work. It's going to be hard work to do. All right. So, looking back over these last two sessions, we talked about changing in the areas that we need to change. The fact there's some things about us that if we change them, we could be more successful at finding a job and more successful at keeping a job. And that change is just a decision change and a behavior change, although it's hard work. And those things can happen. We've talked about the fact that we can learn, and that that thoughts that we can't learn, or things that make it hard for us to learn, or things that make us anxious about learning, are coming from our head. Things other people have said to us, or our own fears or anxieties. And there's no magic way to make those disappear. You can ask for God's help, but you just have to realize not everything you think is exactly true.
Steve,
Yes?
can we name, we have, because we're talking about a very powerful mind.
Yes.
And you called it our enemy a little ways back.
Okay.
And could we call that part of the mind our ego?
Sure.
Or name it something
Sure.
so that we can delineate between that and that powerful mind that's helping us to change?
Mm-hmm. Good, good, yes. Absolutely. Ego, sure.
Is that a,
Yeah. So ego is our mind that is sort of the thing that's been shaped all along by what people say about us or by our experiences or things like
Oh,
that.
okay, ego, okay.
Yeah. This would be helpful if this class was after self-esteem because they'll make those distinctions. And the good part of our mind, when we talk about that, is sort of our will, our decision part, where we say, I think I can do better, and I want to do better, so I'm thinking this is what I'm going to do. Is that more helpful? Good,
I
thank
think
you.
so.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay, great. So, learning. This is the decision-making mind saying, I can learn. And if the ego part of our mind that says, no, you can't learn, you've never been able to learn. We've got to keep focused on the decision. And that's why people around you are critical, because they're the mirror that you can use. They can say, yeah, that's not, those thoughts, that's baggage. And you need to stay on the course here. And then, of course, we talked about brain chemistry a little bit, and the ability a small ability you have to make a change to that, but sometimes it's significant. People that you need around you, and then finally writing this plan. So, if you do these things, which are all preparatory, I think these will put you in a great place to then be able to apply for a job. And we'll talk about some of that next week, applying for a job and sort of behaviors, what we can do with that. Yeah?
and another thought, you said, Rakonda, about would you still fall asleep? If you're stressed out and upset and you're trying to relax, do the power pose first
Right.
to bring down the cortisol level.
Sure.
And then go
Absolutely.
into the relaxation and you're decreasing the stress. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be in a get ready
That's
for a
right.
confrontation.
Anytime. Yeah.
It can be anytime.
Anytime.
Just a thought. That or exercise, same thing.
One good trigger is anytime you're feeling small, or you've been, criticized or something, and it feels small, act, take the commanding pose, and then you're working. But that could be a sort of a yellow flag.
What did you say you were covering next week, Steve? If you don't mind.
Yeah,
In the midst of,
we're going to do the basics of applying for a job, but it's like real basics. There's
Okay.
lots of room for more people to talk on that.
okay.
Yeah. Yep. So that's what we'll be doing next week.
Yay.
Don't forget your homework.
Thank you. I
Welcome.
you.
Don't forget your homework, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.